Good morning to all of you. In the today's class, I will explain the shear capacity of the beam. So far, we have discussed only bending moment, and how the beam develops moment of resistance. So, as I told you in the previous classes, bending moment is produced due to transverse external loads, and moment of resistance is the reaction produced by the moment. The beam means to counterbalance the bending moment, beam develops what is called as moment of resistance. In the today's class, how the beam how the beam develops shear resistance, because the as you know that beam is a as you know that beam is subjected to bending moment as well as shear forces. So far, we have studied how the beam is able to resist the bending moment by producing moment of resistance. So let us begin the class today. Carefully observe here. It is mainly we have to use page number 73 of IS code book. I will explain how to I will explain how to solve a problem in which you are asked to determine the shear capacity or shear strength developed by the beam. Now what I will be doing is, now you can see this page here. If you're having the code book, you can open and check it. 73, page number 73. In case I'll be using this 73. If you want, you can write somewhere in your notebook or somewhere. Page number 73 is enough to solve a problem on analysis for shear. If I want to find out the shear capacity of a beam, RCC beam, this 173 page is enough. You have to understand what is given in 73 page. You can see there. Observe this one. You look at this design shear strength of concrete, table number 19. On 73 page, table 19 is there. I'll tell you how to use this one. Table 20 is there. Maximum shear permissible stress. Actually, it is maximum shear stress. Now you can see the two formula here. One is vertical stirrups and this one. Sorry. Okay, let us see this one. How do you understand shear in beams? Now I'll draw one figure. Observe here. This is a simply supported, you can see, beam subjected to uniformly distributed load. Now here I'll draw the bending moment diagram. You can see that one. This is the bending moment diagram with maximum at the center. So already we have discussed how the beam develops moment of resistance, and we have already calculated moment of resistance also using different expressions. Now I'll draw this shear force diagram for this. Now just observe this one. This is the shear force diagram. You can see bending moment and shear force diagram. Actually, at the center, bending moment, shear force is 0 and bending moment is maximum. At the support, reverse thing is happening. Bending moment is 0, shear force is maximum. Okay, so it means by looking at this diagram, if the beam fails due to bending, let us start with bending. If the beam fails due to bending, where is the possible location where it can fail? If a beam fails by bending, due to bending, where it will fail? It will fail where the bending moment is maximum. So the failure is a, you can see the failure due to bending. Failure due to bending is somewhere here. If at all the beam fails due to bending, if adequate precautions are taken, if I have taken adequate precautions, and let us say this beam is not going to fail due to bending because adequate precautions are taken. Now the second possibility is the beam is going to fail due to shearing. Now observe this. Now if you look at the shear force diagram, where is the possibility of failure of beam due to shear? Where it can happen? As you know, if it fails due to bending, the likeliest position is center of the section or the point where the bending moment is maximum. There the beam will fail due to bending. Similarly, you look at this diagram, you look at this figure here. Where is the possibility of failure of a beam due to shear? So the beam is going to fail due to shear if it is not allowed to fail due to bending, and if it is allowed to fail by shearing. Now where this location will be observed here. Just observe where it is going to fail and why it is possible. So somewhere here, you see this figure, somewhere here near the support, the beam fails due to shearing action. Somewhere here or maybe here. In this case, the values of maximum shear force are same at the supports. So the failure can take place simultaneously at both the locations. The failure due to shearing takes place simultaneously because the maximum values are same at both the ends. It means the failure due to shearing is near the supports in case of this simple beam. In general, what I can say, in general, the failure due to shearing will take place wherever the shear force is maximum. So what is how the beam develops a resistance to shearing? How do you find the shear resistance? The way I have calculated moment of resistance, now I have to calculate the shear resistance or shear strength of the beam. Now observe this one. If you look at this, I'll write one simple formula here. I'll just write here VU, which is used in your code book. I'll use the same notations. This is VU, and I'll write here MU. So as you know that MU is equal to WUL square by 8, or I can say WL square by 8. So where you can see this is what? This is WU, which is factored load. You have to find out the service load, multiply by 1.5 to that, then you will get what is called as factored load or design load. Okay. Now observe this. See, all of you in the text box type your USN. Only once you should do that. Now, as I told you, MU is equal to WUL square by 8. Now you can see this one. What is VU is equal to, as the way I am telling you, it is WL square by 8. What is VU is equal to? What is the value of VU? What is the value of VU? I should write here. I can write WL square by 8. In place of W, I should write WU. Now what I should do here? What is the formula for VU now? Anybody can tell this one? What I should write for VU is equal to what? In terms of W, what I should write? What is VU equal to? What is the reaction here? Reaction is how much? It is W, this is L. Span is L. Okay. So what is the value of VU? What is reaction equal to? What I should write?
So WL by 4.
Okay. Any other answer? Reaction will be how much? Reactions. This VU is, see, this shear force, maximum shear force at the support is nothing but it is equal to reactions. So what is the, how you find reaction? Total load is W into L. Half of that here at one support, remaining half at the other support. So it means it is WL is total load acting on the beam. Half of that is WL by 2. So exactly you can say WUL divided by 2. So this is WL by 2. This side is also WL by 2 because the beam is symmetrically loaded. Okay. So it means I need to check what is happening near the supports, because shear force is maximum near the support. I have to calculate the shear force. How much is this one? Whether the beam is capable of resisting this much of shear force or not, I should check. The way I calculated bending moment, then I calculated moment of resistance. Moment of resistance has to be more or equal to the factored bending moment. So moment of resistance is the strength of bending strength of the beam. Similarly, I should find out shear strength of the beam by using IS code book or any theory. But from strength of materials, I am able to find out what is maximum shear force. So strength of materials is giving me the maximum shear force near the support as WL by 2. This side also WL by 2. Since the shear force is maximum near the support, if the beam fails due to shearing action, it will be very close to the support. Again and again I'm telling, if the beam fails due to bending, it will happen near the center of the beam or wherever the bending moment is maximum. So this is what we should understand. Now what I will do is, the way we calculated a moment of resistance in the previous classes using the code book, I'm going to find out shear resistance or shear strength, and that shear strength should be more than WL by 2, or in any other beam also, whatever is the maximum shear force that has developed. See, this is one specific case of simply supported beam with UDL. A simply supported beam with UDL has maximum shear force at the support, which is WL by 2. Now VU is calculated by using your strength of material knowledge, VU. Then whether after finding this VU, I have to say whether the beam is safe against shearing, or whether there is a failure due to shearing will take place or what. How to decide that one? How do you say that after finding this value, let us say the span is 6 meter, the load is 40 kilonewton per meter, you are going to find VU by using WL by 2. 6 into 40 into 6 by 2, something like that you calculate. So once you find out this value, whether this beam is capable of resisting this much of shear or not, how you decide? You can decide only after finding the shear strength of the beam. So that shear strength is compared with this VU. Find out shear strength using the code book. After calculating the shear strength using the formula given in the code book, compare that one with this VU. If the shear strength calculated using the formula given in the code books is more than this value, I can say the beam is safe in shearing, it is not going to fail. Similarly, if the shear strength that is calculated using the code book is less than this value, less than the shear force acting on the beam, it means the beam is unsafe in shearing. There may be a failure due to shearing of the beam. So in this class, what I am doing is, I'll be taking one simple example like this so that you can easily find out the shear force. Maximum shear force you can find out WL by 2, but our focus is more on how to use the code book. Focus is more on how to use the code book, how to use this formula here, which I am showing it here. Mainly you are concentrating on here in the today's class, table 19. See this. How to make use of this table 19? How do you strengthen, how do you increase the shear resistance of a beam? What are the methods of increasing the shear resistance of a beam? That you are going to study in the today's class. So carefully observe this one because today's it is a new topic. Purposely I have taken this one today. In the meanwhile, you go through those doubly reinforced problems, FSC calculation, you do it using table F only. Subsequently, I will tell you how to calculate the using the strain diagram, how to find FSC. One simple formula is there. But notes also I'll be giving it. Now, what I will do is I will start with the calculation of. So observe here. What I'll be doing in today's class is I'll be explaining how to use table 19. Table 20 is not so important in the today's class. How to use this formula here and how to find out shear strength of the beam or shear resistance or shear capacity. All three names are one and the same. Shear strength, shear capacity, all these are same. This one here. Okay. So let us see this one. I'll solve one problem also in the today's class after explaining all this. Okay. So let us see this one here. How do you just observe here? You can mute your you can just mute it and observe what I'm explaining here now. See this one here. Now observe shear strength or shear capacity or shear resistance of a beam. The way the moment of resistance we studied, in the similar way something called as shear resistance, because beam should not fail due to bending or it should not fail due to shearing also. Now observe here how to prevent the shear failure. As I told you just now, the beam is likely to fail due to shearing near the supports in this case, because shear force is maximum near the supports. Now what I have done here is, it is this is a completely designed beam. I'm showing it here. This is longitudinal section and this one is cross section. You can see this. This is longitudinal section. This is cross section of the beam. Now, whatever this in the cross section, whatever you are seeing, these three circles are nothing but steel rods which are meant to resist the bending moment. Why I have provided this one? To increase the moment carrying capacity. If I provide these steel rods, the moment of resistance increases. The bending strength of the beam increases. So these three rods are taking care of bending moment. Now you see these vertical lines, we call them as stirrups. So these stirrups are provided to take care of, to increase the shear resistance of the beam. It means in order to strengthen the beam against shearing forces, I need to use what are called as stirrups. Stirrups may be inclined also, but in today's class, we are going to discuss only vertical stirrups. So how this stirrup runs here in this, just observe this. You see this cross section, these stirrups are provided to increase the shear strength of the beam. Because if you do not provide these stirrups, and if you do not provide the steel rods which will resist the bending moment, even then the concrete will be having some shear strength, but that will not be enough. It means concrete itself without any steel rods inside, without stirrups inside, it will be having some shear resistance, but that will be very small. That will not be sufficient. How to calculate that also I will explain. How to calculate the shear resistance of concrete without any steel rods inside. Now observe here. Here you look at the cross section. This is the cross section. This is a stirrup here. How this a single, usually stirrup is made up of 6 to 8 M bars. Whatever stirrups you are observing here, it is two-legged. There is, we call it as a two-legged stirrup. This is one leg this side, one more leg is this side. It is a two-legged stirrup. There can be four-legged, eight-legged, 12-legged stirrups also. But in today's class, we are going to concentrate only on two-legged stirrups. Now, how it is, the entire diagram, I'll draw it, observe here. I'll show the entire diagram of a stirrup, how it is fabricated by the bar benders. You can see here. Just observe. I'm going to draw this stirrup. How it a single bar is taken. Just observe this. You can see this one. It will be like this. Okay. These two are hanger bars. Don't be under the impression that it has become a doubly reinforced beam. Don't be under that impression. If I provide two more bars here, then I can say it has become doubly reinforced. Now these two bars are extra bars which are used to tie these stirrups like this. I cannot see. I cannot while pouring the concrete. See, while pouring the concrete, I want these stirrups to be in position like this. They should not get displaced. Okay, that is why I need to tie these vertical stirrups everywhere like this along the length. That is why these two bars, extra bars are used. Usually they are 10 mm rods. These two are 10 mm bars. We call them as hanger bars. I have not written here, but it is there. See, hanger bars. You can see two-legged stirrups. Hanger bars are there. Hanger bars, they are running along the length of the length of the beam. They are mainly used to tie the stirrups and see that they do not get displaced while pouring concrete. So this is how I am going to increase. Initially the concrete itself has some shear strength. Okay. Then I'm increasing the shear strength by providing what are called as stirrups. Usually, if you see any diagram in any structural engineer's office, near the support, the spacing between SB is called as spacing between the stirrups. Now observe here. Our job is to find out what is the diameter and what is the spacing of these stirrups. That is all design, but here I am going to solve analysis problem. In this, all these are given. You have to find out the shear capacity. In these problems of analysis, which is in module 2, module 3 is about design. In module 3, we have to find out SV and diameter of the bars also, which are to be used as stirrups. But here, this is analysis. All these are given. You have to just find the shear capacity. Now observe here. If you see any beam standard given by the structural engineer, you will find that near the support spacing is very close. They are closely spaced. But when you go to the middle one, spacing is more. The reason is shear force is maximum near the supports. That is why you will find that the stirrups are more closely spaced near the supports. Whereas in the middle of the beam, the spacing is slightly more. But here in today's class, I am going to assume the spacing is same throughout. Just to reduce the complexity, the spacing will be same throughout the length. Spacing has not changed. But usually the spacing near the support is less. So this is how the shear resistance is taken care of, or it can be increased by providing stirrups. Now the question is, how a beam resists shear force? The question here is, as you know that is WL by 2, shear force is calculated. Once you calculate the maximum shear force and its position, as a designer, what should be your worry? As a designer, your worry should be whether the beam is strong enough, to resist this much of shear or not. Is it strong against shear? How you decide that one? So how a beam resists shear force, or how to calculate shear capacity of a beam or shear strength of a beam, we can see. Now directly I am explaining what is there in the code book now. Shear capacity of a beam, which is also denoted by VU only. Don't get confused again. This VU is denoted as shear capacity. Also, it is denoted as maximum shear force VU. Purpose it is taken because I have to equate these two. I have to equate shear strength with shear force. Now, shear capacity of a beam is the sum of, observe here. It is a sum of three parameters. You can see here. Shear resisted by concrete. What it means here is, if I do not provide any steel rods inside the concrete, it is pure concrete only. That time also it will be having some small amount of shear resistance. That has to be calculated. Then shear resisted by stirrups. You have to find out how much is the shear capacity or shear strength of the stirrups. Second part. Third is shear resisted by bent up main bars. Now what is this? Third one I have not discussed till now. Shear resisted by concrete, I will tell you how to calculate. Let us say I have calculated shear force, which is WL by 2. Some value is there, some say 20 kN is there. Now, whether 20 kN can be resisted by the beam or not, I have to check. So, I am finding shear capacity of the beam VU. It is sum of shear resisted by concrete alone, shear resisted by the stirrups. Then, third one is shear resisted by bent up main bars, which is not normally practiced nowadays. Nobody's because it becomes labor intensive. Cost of labor is involved here. That is why they are avoiding. But even then, I will show you that one. Now observe here. As per this formula here, there are three parameters. We have to calculate these three and add them. Then compare this value with the maximum shear force. This value has to be more than the maximum shear force. Now, in terms of notations, you can see here VUC, shear resisted by concrete is VUC. How to calculate that one? Using table 19, I will explain. Shear resisted by stirrups, VUS1, S for steel, U for ultimate, C for concrete, S1 for stirrups, S2 for bent up main bars. So like this, we have to calculate these three values separately, add them, then compare with maximum shear force. This value of VU should be more than the shear force. Then I can say the beam is safe against shear force or shear stress, we can say like that. Now, what is this shear resisted by bent up main bars? Now observe here. If I bend the main bars, now observe here what is happening. I'll show you the part of the longitudinal section. This is longitudinal section of the beam. Observe this one. There are 4 bars are there. To take care of bending moment, 4 bars are there like this. Let us say this is the, you can see here, this is the support here. This is the support. Now the third one I'm trying to explain here, observe this one. I'm trying to explain shear resisted by bent up main bars. Now what I will do here is, let us say there are 4 bars are provided to take care of bending moment. Out of these 4 bars, what I will do is, near the support, somewhere near the support, I'll just bend it, preferably at an angle of 45 degrees. This is 45 degrees and it runs like this. What it means here is, out of 4 bars which are there at the bottom, 2 bars are bent up like this. Or see, you can unmute. Some disturbance is there. Okay. So this is VUS2. I'm trying to tell you what is VUS2 here. Try to understand it. VUS2 is related to this bent up bar. See this. Now I will put here, I'll put these stirrups like this. One more, this bar runs here because top 2 bars are running here. Those hanger bars are running. So what I will do for that is, I need to show that also here. These are the bars running here. These are top 2 bars. If you want to check, see this one in the cross section, how it looks, observe here. I'll draw a little bit a bigger cross section here. This is the cross section of the beam. Now what has happened is, near the section, if you take the section somewhere here, section is taken here and you are observing, out of 4 bars, 2 bars are already there. Remaining 2 bars have come here because they are bent up. Originally, these 2 bars were at the bottom. If you take the section here, what will happen? This is Y, Y, this is X, X. If the section is at Y, Y, this is happening. If the section is taken at X, X, what will happen? All 4 bars are seen at the bottom only. But I am looking at Y, Y here. Since section Y, Y, if you cut it, there will be 2 bars. In addition to this, you see this one, 2 more bars are there. These are hanger bars. They run continuously, as I told you. to tie the stirrups. These two are required. That is what is shown here. This one, whatever this bar is there, no, this is nothing but hanger bar. So that I can easily tie the stirrup like this. Now, the purpose of bending this main bar, it will give me some additional shear strength. That is what I'm trying to tell you here. If I just run them as it is, horizontal means without bending them, if I run them continuously, same line without bending, I'm not going to get any additional shear strength. Two bars if I bent out of four, two bars if the bars are bent up, because I can bend these two bars here because the bending moment is less. These four bars are required at the center. As you move towards the support, bending moment is reducing, it becomes zero at the support. So theoretically, I don't need any bars at the bottom near the support because bending moment is zero. That is why without any problem, I can bend the bars up near the support. And I know that near the support only shear force is maximum. So the third one, if you read here, shear capacity of bent up main bars. I can bend two bars or a single bar like that. So this will, if I bend this bar up, now it is vertical line, stirrup is vertical. You can imagine this as inclined stirrup. You can simply imagine this bent up bar as inclined stirrup. It will be having one vertical force component in the vertical direction. Some force is acting in this bar, and it has vertical component as well as horizontal component. Let us say this is a force acting in this bar is F sine 45 and F cos 45 are the components. Out of that, vertical component is used to resist because shear force is vertically downwards. So the vertical component of the force which is present in this bent up portion, that will resist the external shear force to some extent. So it means by bending the bar up, I am trying to increase the shear capacity of the beam. So let us see how to calculate all the three here. How to find out the shear resistance of concrete or shear strength of concrete. Now observe this one. Once again, you see here, this is shear strength of concrete, shear strength of stirrups, shear strength of bent up main bar. So once you calculate all the three using the code book and using your strength of material knowledge, if you can find out the maximum shear force, compare these two values. Compare these two. Shear capacity of the beam, if it is more than the shear force, then I can say the beam is not going to fail due to shear. Any questions here? Anybody has any questions? Only page number 73 is enough to solve the analysis problems. To solve the problems in module 2, as far as shear forces are concerned, I'm telling, as far as shear forces, they can set a problem on this. In analysis, they can set in module 2. So finally, what we have to do, we have to find the maximum shear force using standard moment distribution method or whatever, if it is indeterminate structure. In case of simply supported beam, I am showing because you should understand the concept. Ultimately, you have to calculate the shear force using theory of structures. Maximum shear force you calculate. That maximum shear force has to be less than sum of these three: VUC plus VUS1 plus VUS2. That has to be less, or in the limiting case, both must be equal. Is it clear, this one? Now let us see how to find these three. All these three I can find out by using that IS code page number. I'll show you that one now. So in the remaining part of this class, I'll be explaining how do you find these three. Specifically these two. Let us not worry about bent up today. If possible, that also I'll cover. but I'll be concentrating on this because usually nowadays bar bending is becoming laborious. Cutting is easy because cutting machine is there. Bending has to be done manually. I can cut the bars wherever use cutting machines are there, but bending is labor intensive. Labor cost is involved there. People are structural engineers are avoiding bar this bending of the bar. Some other methods, for example, I'll tell you, if I use M20 in place of M15 or M25, automatically the shear resisted by concrete will be more. It depends upon the grade of concrete also. So let us go to the next page here. Observe this one. So this is what you should understand here. Now observe. Now see this one. I'll go to the next page. Somebody is having a see every now and then I cannot unmute here. You must check it. Try to unmute. 99 are there today. Only one is left. Century, only one is left. Totally 99 stones are there. All of you type your USN there. Okay. So let us start this one here. Observe. Now observe shear strength or shear capacity. That's what I told you. VUC, VUS1 plus VUS2. This shear strength is concrete alone. If the reinforcement is not there, how much will be the shear strength of the concrete alone? This is due to stirrup. This is due to bent up main bars. Now observe this. So shear strength of the beam is sum of VUC, VUS1, VUS2. Concrete, stirrups, bent up bars. Now how to find VUC? First one. In order to find VUC, you have to go back to that page number of that code book. VUC is equal to grade of concrete PT value. You should find out the PT value. That is why yesterday I have given you 2-3 days back. I told you to find out PT value for all these beams, which is AST by BD into 100. PT is very simple calculation. It is AST divided by BD into 100. Somebody has raised hand, Sushma Tigdi. Now observe here. If there is any doubt, you can ask here. Now what I'm explaining here is how to find VUC. So VUC can be calculated by using table number 19. So for that one, you should know the grade of concrete. Maybe it is M20. Usually it is this grade is M20. PT has to be calculated from the problem. PT has to be calculated, and the values, intermediate values should be, you can get the intermediate values by using interpolation only. Here you have to do the interpolation. You cannot go to the next higher or lower value like that. You have to interpolate the values which are not there in the table. So that means I'll tell you how to find out this. Let us say grade of concrete is 20. PT value I have to calculate from the problem. Let us say if there are 4 bars of 12 mm diameter. Okay, and the size is 230 by 450, 230 by 450. So how to calculate it? AST divided by BD into 100. So 4 into pi by 4 into 12 square, that is AST, divided by B 230 into D 450 into 100. This is how for a given cross section and the bars are given, I can find the PT value. Then I'll refer the table 19. Then I can find VUC. This table is giving me the shear strength of the concrete alone without any reinforcement. That I'll show you here. Immediately I'll solve one problem. Now page number 73 of table 19 I should find out. Table 20 presently you don't worry. Only concentrate on table 19. So this is how I will calculate the VUC. Then stirrups, same page, everything is same. Everything is same here. Can you see this one? 73. I have opened 73. Can you see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now observe here. Observe this one. Unless I solve one full problem, everything will not be clear. But anyway, just try to understand. See here, observe this. So PT 100 AST by BD. Let us try to understand the table 19. Just observe this. Table 19. See, from the given problem, number of bars are given. Number of bars are given. Even though we say it is purely concrete, but PT is also involved in this calculation. Now observe here, 100 AST by BD. As I told you, 4 bars of 12 mm, it is giving, from this one, AST is used, BD's dimensions of the beam, which is given in the analysis problems. Let us say PT, this is all is called as PT. Let us say PT is 0.25 in a given problem. Let us say I am getting for a given problem, PT is, let us say 0.5. Okay. Then how to find that shear strength of concrete? Now what I will do, I'll go to M20 here. So PT is, this PT is 0.5. I'll move horizontally like this. So this is your M20. You can see this 0.48 like this. See this? In the given problem, AST by BD into 100 was 0.5. Since M20 is given in the problem, the value of tau C, we call it as tau C. Tau C means shear strength. See this, shear strength of concrete tau C in Newton per mm square. So this is 0.48 Newton per mm square. Okay, then how do you find VUC? From this I should find VUC. First one out of 3 calculations, VUC, VUS1 and all that. So now after finding tau C, which is 0.48 for the given problem, I will multiply by area of cross section. 0.48 into 230 into 450. If I do this much, I am getting VUC. There is the end of it. That is the end of it. So once again, I'll repeat, observe here. In a given problem, I calculated 100 AST by BD. From that one, I observed that it is 0.5. And in the problem, M20 is given. So 0.5, you move like this. Then under M20, it is 0.48. So this is tau C value in Newton per mm square. This is tau C in, you can see this. Tau C is equal to 0.48. This into cross-sectional area. Stress into area will give you the force value. So stress is 0.48 into the cross-sectional area, 230 into 450, for example. So that will give you the VUC in Newton. Divided by 1000, it will be in kilonewton. That I will show you here. This is what is your this one. Now observe here. So how to find VUC? I explained. PT, first PT, then compare that one, then you find it. Now see, let us go to the next calculation, stirrups. How do you find VUS1 if the stirrups diameter and spacing is given in the problem? They have given the diameter as well as spacing of the stirrups. Now again, what you should do, observe the same page number. Everything is available in single page here. Just scroll it. Just see this one. Don't worry about inclined stirrups. For vertical stirrups, you look at initially. Inclined stirrups are very rarely used. Look at this one. Simply use this formula. There is the end of it. What is this formula? Observe here. VUS. Actually, this is VUS1. This is VUS2 actually, as per my notes that I have given. Because one is related to bent up bars, one more is vertical stirrups. See this one here, this is bent up bars. This is vertical stirrups. It means I already told you how to find out VUC, then VUS1, VUS2 I am looking at. Simple formula is there, 0.87 FY ASB. What is important here is ASB, what it is you should understand. What is this ASB? This ASB is nothing but area, cross-sectional area of stirrups. When you cut a stirrup using a horizontal plane, you are going to find two bars over there because two-legged stirrup is. That I'll show you here. Just observe. So you observe first ASV. I'm trying to explain ASV means what? 0.87 FY, 0.87 into 415, if it is 415. D is depth of the beam, which is, let us say, 450. SV is the spacing between stirrups. It may be 200 mm like that. So all are known to you. Only try to understand ASV here, area of stirrups. Area of stirrups. If it is two-legged stirrup, what will happen? You observe here. And once again, I'll draw the stirrup here. I'll draw the stirrup. Actually, it starts like this initially. Then it surrounds the bar here. It surrounds the bar. Bar is here now. Now, if I take a section here, what is ASV? I'm trying to tell you. If I take a section here, so one cross section is here, pi by 4 into diameter of the stirrups, pi by 4 d square. Let us say it is 8 mm. Pi by 4 d square, 8 square. Here also pi by 4 d square, 8 square. So see, if you cut a stirrup like this, you are coming across two cross-sectional area. That is why it is 2 into pi by 4 d square. If it is two-legged, if it is three-legged, 3 into. If it is four-legged, 4 into. So here in beams, only two-legged stirrups are used. Let us not worry about three-legged and four-legged in this class. It means ASV is equal to two-legged. One leg is here, one more leg is here. This is one leg. Okay. This is two-legged means what? Again, I am telling you, observe. See this one. This is one leg, vertical line. This is one leg, one more leg is here. So two-legged stirrup. So ASV for a two-legged stirrup is equal to 2 into pi by 4 into 8 square. 8 square if the diameter of stirrup is 8 mm. If it is 6 mm, it is 6 square. This one I'll tell you in the problem. When the bars are bent up, everything is same. Sin alpha and cos alpha will not come because cos alpha will not be there in the formula that I am going to solve. The reason is the bar is bent up only at one place, not at two different places along the length. That I'll make it clear. Everything is same here. See this. Everything is same. The only confusion in the code book is you may be knowing this. Those who are a diploma, they may be knowing this one. One small confusion is there in the code book. For example, this one. Now, carefully observe here. Carefully observe this. What I am trying to tell you here is, what is this ASV? ASV is if the stirrups are inclined, if the stirrups are inclined at 45 degrees, that time you note down the area of the stirrups. If the main bar is bent up, that time what will happen? This is the cross-sectional area of the main bar. So this formula is used commonly for inclined stirrups or bent up bars both. If you read this one carefully, for inclined stirrups or bent up bars, series of bent up bars. Now I'll be using only, I'll not be using cos alpha and all in the problem. I'll show you that one. Once I use like that, then I'll tell you where cos alpha has to be used. Now here, if I use, because inclined stirrups are not there, we are not going to use inclined stirrups. We are going to bend the main bar. So this formula is nothing but VUS2 in my notes, 0.87 FY into D. This ASV, if the main bar is bent up, it is the area of main bar. Whichever bars, those are bent up. If two bars are bent up, it is 2 into pi by 4 into 12 square. Okay. If the stirrups are bent up, then area of the stirrups must be counted. SV is again, you see this one, SV is again distance between stirrups, spacing between stirrups. So this is what is done. You can see entire analysis of shear is carried out using just one page of code book 73. If you know what is there in page number 73, you can easily solve one 10 marks problem in the exam. If you know page number 73, what I can get from that, if you know that one, 10 marks problem can be easily solved. So you need to open for shear analysis, shear capacity, page number 73. Now I will just solve one problem. Observe here. Carefully observe this. Can I continue for 10 minutes? Time is over actually. I'll continue for 10 more minutes. Is that okay?
Sir, next class has started.
Already
Yes,
started.
sir.
Yes, sir, at 10:05.
Should I? You want me to stop it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I wanted to explain this one. When can I do this? Because I'm a little bit slow here. I'm going a little bit slow because I cannot go fast in RCC. Anyway, I'll stop it. All of you entered your USN, no? 99 are there. After giving attendance, some 5 students have disappeared, I think. Okay, you can attend the next class.